Hey, this is Paul.
And Wayne.
From the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast.
Folks, did you know that the movie Total Recall was absolutely a dream?
What?
Definitely
It was
was
absolutely
not.
a dream, man. What the heck?
That is ridiculous.
No, it's as well known, but you know what? If you want to hear arguments like this about movies, tune into the show.
We do a countdown every week of a movie or TV related topic.
And also movie reviews.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
No, I'm not, and we should stop using that stupid-ass soundboard.
How dare you? Well, there it is. Check us out on all your favorite podcatchers.
Google us, we're everywhere.
So not a dream.
Hi there, I'm Lloyd.
And I'm John, and we're from Pint Comics. As we dive into your favorite pop culture topics, we may just
Occasionally,
use language that could be considered...
globaloney.
What? No, I mean...
Oh, foul.
Exactly. Offensive.
No doubt. Crass.
You bet your ass.
Sophisticated.
What? No. Anyways, you get it by now. It's mostly just...
Gutter talk.
And one more thing. Watch out for spoilers. Sometimes we drop them like trousers. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Welcome to the Pint Movie Invitational Series.
Fucker. You got your pint, you got your pig snacks. What more do you want? Oh. Your favourite monkey? Shall I do Clyde?
All right, we are back with another episode of Pint Comics number... I don't know, what are we at, Lloyd? 697?
Yeah, 937.
937. It's episode 937. We've been on for 206 years, and that's just in 2020. It feels like. Manster, what is new? What's going on with you, man?
Today's just been one of them days for me. Long ass day. Didn't sleep last night. Hated work. I'm ready to just go to bed when this is done.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, this is the one bright, shining moment of the day. Yeah. Not no sleep at all, or like no sleep at all is almost better than, what's that called? Fits of sleep? That's terrible. Like in and out.
Yeah, it was more like fits of sleep. And when I did try to go to sleep, couldn't go to sleep because of snoring. Someone snoring.
Oh, certain someone was snoring. In my house, that certain someone is me. and Lindsay has put up with that for many, many years. And she's amazing because I've had other people. I went on a work trip one time and we went to Orlando for like 3 days. I was rooming up with a guy who I've known for many years, and we got down there and I told him I snored, and he immediately was like, I'm not rooming with you. We got to switch.
Get out of there, bro.
We got to switch partners. And we did. And that was cool. 3 years later, we went to Tennessee for work, and they didn't let us pick our roommates. I had a snoring roommate that I know. So we were all good. We both were like, every time we put each other's name on the list, we'd snore together. It was a wonderful thing. They put me in a room with some dude from Pennsylvania I had never met. So we were there for 2 nights. The first morning, I talked to the dude. Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, how you doing? I'm from Connecticut. I'm from Pennsylvania. Whatever. The next morning at breakfast, he looked pissed as fuck at me, and he even said, he goes, you're quite the snorer. And I'm like, oh, this guy is gonna fucking stab me tonight in the middle of the night. Just ice pick through the back of the skull. Luckily, I survived that. But you ever run into the situation where you look at someone and you know that they hate your guts? This guy hated my fucking guts. Totally. COVID sucks. It's caused nothing but problems, and, throughout the whole world. Podcast issues being the most minor of them, but we can't record together. This is going on 7 months now. But something good has come out of COVID. And I was never like an AOL guy. Like, I never have been a part of a like a room or anything? Like, Lloyd, you ever, you know what I mean? Like a group on AOL? You ever?
I'm not that guy at all.
No, me neither. So, and I'm not a Warhammer guy. I don't go raiding. You know, like Lou is a big Warcraft. Is it Warcraft? He raids.
You didn't get into EverQuest?
No. And like Lou will talk about friends of his he's never met from Wisconsin who he goes on raids with, and they steal jewels from the king. And I've never done that, but through our friend Larry Dwyer, who has been on 72% of our episodes, and his Connecticut Cult Classics, he's run since probably February or March a Saturday night online watch party. And every Saturday night at 10 o'clock, we watch a mostly terrible movie. And it has kind of become this communal thing where you see the same faces every week. It's about 30 people, and it's usually the same people. And it's got a very MST 3K quality about it. Everybody types in their little jokes, and
people get kicked out because of their comments.
I got kicked out, and real quick, I got kicked out for 2 comments. One was a warning. The next was a total kick out. I was kicked off Facebook for 2 days. One of them was a bullying comment with quotation marks. I didn't bully anybody. And the other one was it actually said,
a hate crime?
Hate crime. It was like a hate comment. And the comment I made was, and I'll say it here because we were watching a terrible movie and the main characters were British. And I wrote fucking Brits, and Facebook immediately cut in on me. And now this is the same room where, as one of the running jokes, we type white power in quite a bit. That was never even touched on once. White power. And we know this in 2020, in America, I guess white power is okay, apparently, to the Facebook crowd. But as Stu, our friend from Pittsburgh, says, I got zucked because the next comment was, I told another guy on the transmission, what fucking word is that? On the watch party transmission. I told him to shut his whore mouth. And that got me, and he was fine with it. But I told him to shut his whore mouth, got kicked off. Long story
Facebook
short.
doesn't know that's just how you talk.
How many times have I told you to shut your whore mouth?
Every day. Every day.
So long story short, our guest tonight is one of the denizens of the Saturday Night Cult Classics watch party. She is a stranger from the internet. So at any point, if there's any stranger danger, we'll maybe make a knocking sound like that, and you could immediately shut the show off and come give us help. But it's Laura. Laura, what's going on?
Not much. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be doing this. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Laura, a couple things. She always makes me laugh with her comments, kind of a dry wit. And I just, you know what, a couple things. We're always looking for new people to get on the show, and not to sound, stupid, but it's nice to have a female presence on the show.
Absolutely.
We're pretty sausage party here, and that's not by design. So we get a funny girl, and we can talk a movie. So before we get into this is a Pint Movie Invitational, we let Laura pick a movie. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to know a little bit about you, Laura. What are your interests? What are some hobbies? What do you like doing?
Okay. Well, I like watching movies. Obviously, that is pretty much most of what I do in my downtime, especially now that I'm stuck inside all the time. I like to paint and draw. I don't do that as much as I would like to anymore, but I definitely do like it when I get off my ass and start to.
I hear that.
Yeah, pretty much. I miss going to concerts like everybody else in the world. Like, that was pretty much something I did on like a bi-weekly basis. So, and it was pretty much my social life. So not being able to gather in public, it's really gotten me down. But yeah, it's pretty normal run-of-the-mill stuff. Nothing too crazy.
All right. But you're holding up well through COVID. Everything's good.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Good.
Sometimes I have my low points, but I'm sure we all do.
Oh yeah. Before Manster asks his 5 questions, in preparing for the show, I said, well, let me try to figure some stuff out about Laura. So I did the Instagram thing, went through some of your pictures, and I have a question about one of your pictures that I think might make Lloyd's eyeballs shoot out of his head if it's what I think it was. So there's a picture, and I don't know if it's you. Okay, it could be a friend, and there was no real description. But it was
say Depeche Mode at any point.
No. No. I'm going to say even a bigger one for you, Lloyd. So the picture appeared to be of a leg with a tattoo on it that to me looked like the David Bowie lightning bolt. Was that what that was?
Yep, that is on my leg. Yes.
Okay, because Lloyd freely has admitted before that the day David Bowie died, he cried several times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. I remember exactly where I was. I was in a hotel room in Virginia visiting my sister. I picked up my phone and first thing on my phone, and I just started. I didn't even realize I was crying. I was just tearing. So yeah, sentiment. And
I was able to identify that. I was like, I think that's the is that Aladdin Sane?
Aladdin Sane, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So you guys don't know it, but just like Step Brothers, you just became best friends. All right, Lloyd, why don't you go to the 5 questions and then we'll get into Laura's film.
All right, Laura. This is real easy. Just expand as much as you want on any of these answers.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Boston cream or jelly filled?
Jelly filled. Just jelly is everything. I love jellies. Different kinds flavored of jellies. I have multiple flavors of jelly in my fridge right now.
Yeah.
So
are you a marmalade girl?
Orange marmalade is the only marmalade I'm familiar with. And I don't like bits of things in jelly.
You don't like orange peel inside your jam?
No, I don't. No, it's gross.
My kid just asked me what that was today. He's 11. He goes, Dad, what is marmalade?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm 44 and I'm about to ask you right now, what is marmalade? What is the difference between, I know that there is a difference, but so, okay, you got peanut butter and then crunchy peanut butter. Mm-hmm. Is marmalade crunchy jelly? It has stuff in it?
I don't think so, because jams have seeds in them. And I know jams are a different consistency. Jellies don't typically have seeds in them, I don't think. I'm not an expert on jelly, so don't take my word at that.
It's almost like candied, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like a
blew my mind.
Orange peel.
I love it. I love orange marmalade.
And that was a softball question too, because Boston cream donuts are gross. I never understood the
Not
appeal.
From Luke's Donuts or Neil's Donuts.
No, Neil's Donuts in Wallingford, Connecticut, the town I live in, is the quintessential donut shop. But yeah, Boston cream, I just never dug that.
No, yeah.
That's unusual. A lot of people go for Boston cream, in the office.
If you opened up a dozen donuts and there's 4 Boston cream, people are going for those first. I'm going to the other side. I'm going for a good glazed or a chocolate glazed, or if it's Neil's, the raspberry longs. You ever had those?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Everything from Neil's is great.
Yeah. Laura, have you ever had Neil's Donuts?
No, I lived up in Middletown kind of by Wallingford, but I've never been to there.
All right. There's my recommendation for the day is they're open. And if you feel like getting out at some point and you might have to wait in line because they're very popular and small, Neil's Donuts. And actually they're opening a second store in Middletown.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Master, next question.
Garbage or the Gorillas?
Garbage. I enjoy Shirley Manson.
You like some Shirley Manson, yeah.
Yeah, I like her attitude. She's fun. Every interview that I've ever listened, she has a great fucking accent too. You can't really beat that. Nothing against the Gorillas, really. I just never really I like their hits, I guess. Dare is a song that I still put on from time to time and dance to when I'm alone. But I'll probably go Garbage. The whole female-fronted thing in my youth. Yeah.
Totally get it. Fright Night or Near Dark?
Fright Night. Just watched Fright Night the other night. Love me some Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, that's great, huh?
His pouty lips have been in my dreams for the past week.
Wow. The thing about that movie that I love is that, he's the vampire next door. He has such a non-vampire name, Jerry Dandridge.
Dandridge.
Yeah. You picture a vampire being I don't know, Luke Razor, having a strong name like that, from Blade, Deacon Frost, but no, this guy's Jerry Dandridge. He sounds like your second grade teacher. It's pretty ridiculous, but it works. It works.
You know, and on who was it? John? Sir John, I think, recommended Fright Night, the remake.
Yeah.
From 2011. I had never seen it. I had never wanted to see it. Then I watched it. I have to say, I agree with him.
It's solid.
It's a good remake.
It's totally.
Yeah, I had never seen. We were just talking about it like after we had watched the original one. I was saying I'd never seen it. Neither had my boyfriend. But yeah, like it has. I really like Anton Yelchin. He's great. That's a big loss there.
Yeah.
And I enjoy Colin Farrell. He doesn't do an accent in it. Well, it would be an accent for him.
He's American. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see. I feel like it could have worked if he just kept his own Irish accent. That's me not having ever seen the movie thinking that, but that's my opinion.
Are you trying to tell us that you prefer Colin Farrell with the Irish accent? Is that your thing?
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm super Irish. I love me an Irish accent. I love all the accents from the UK. I'm just a big sucker for all of that. So yeah, anything with an accent.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
All right, next one. George Clooney or Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Wow. She didn't. She actually.
Right there.
She actually knew you were going to ask that, and she tapped into your brain. And she's like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, they pair up pretty well.
I was actually just talking about my love for Brad Pitt yesterday.
Really? All
yeah,
right.
I talk about it frequently.
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
Actually, I have a picture of Brad Pitt at my desk in my office that I haven't seen in about 6 months, and it's him looking really good in a tuxedo. I have him cut out, like shaped, and he's plastered right on my wall, and he's just waiting for me to come back to work.
He's waiting. He's cool with that. You just got to realize though, when you get involved with Brad Pitt, he's got like 6 or 7 kids, so there's a little bit of that. So,
and you might get the Brad Pitt from California.
Yeah. For many years, Brad Pitt was my allowable male crush. As Brad Pitt kind of gets older, years ago, I would have answered that question, Brad Pitt. Now I'm kind of on the Clooney tip because that's just like, they're probably around the same age, but Clooney looks older and he pulls off that, what do they call that? Silver fox. He's a silver fox.
Yes. He's very dapper.
Yes. Yeah. He looks like, he just looks like he'd always be dressed really nicely. And even like lounging around the house, he's probably wearing something that's way more expensive than anything I could afford.
Yeah, definitely.
So who's your current man crush then?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, for years it's been Timothy Olyphant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm a
Josh
huge fan.
Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel doesn't do it for me. We could do it at some point, Lloyd. On our old podcast, From the Hip, we did a whole man crush episode, and John never wanted to do it again. So maybe I'd be glad to share several guys who I find effervescent.
Well, outside of David Bowie.
Yeah, well, I know he'd be your number
Tim
one.
Curry, circa Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, yes.
Not for me, but I get it.
Oh, he has great legs.
All right, last one.
Man.
This one is not going to be so funny.
Okay. Ooh.
All right, ready?
Uh-huh.
Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy?
Ted Bundy. He's a little bit more polished.
Yeah. He doesn't eat you.
No.
Yeah, I like that. If he's going to kill me, don't necessarily eat me.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. I'll be dead. I don't care if you eat me. But,
Exactly.
That might be the name of this episode.
That works really well.
Yeah, it does work.
I just, I can't really give a reason why Ted Bundy over Jeffrey Dahmer, but I feel like Jeffrey Dahmer was just a little bit more childish, and Ted
I think it just goes without
together
saying.
better.
Yeah.
So.
Ted Bundy was like the chameleon that nobody could believe was a killer, and Jeffrey Dahmer is the guy that you're like, yeah, he was.
Yeah, I
killed.
knew that guy was a killer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it. Like he lived in plain sight for so long with such a normal life, and then he had murdered all of these people, and Jeffrey Dahmer was just like we kind of expected that. So I kind of like the living in plain sight kind of aspect of Ted Bundy, I guess. And he has a really good smile.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. There's a picture of Ted Bundy in a tuxedo.
He's next to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
He's in a tuxedo right next to Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Oh, my boss would love that.
Oh, who's that, Laura? Oh, that's Ted Bundy, the mass murderer who he killed a bunch of co-eds. He's a great guy.
Love him.
All right. So this being a Pint Movie Invitational, we let you choose a movie, come on and we talk about it. So why don't you tell us the movie you chose and give us the reasoning why you chose this film?
Okay. I chose Shaun of the Dead. Ever since I saw this for the first time in 2004 when it came out in the US, it's just the entire movie's, it's a very fast pace, but it never trips over itself. It just flows really well. It has everything I like in a movie. The storytelling is great. The cinematography is awesome. It's just very well choreographed dance the entire time. And Edgar Wright, I love how the fact that he loves movies so much just bleeds into the movies that he makes. So it's kind of like a kindred spirit kind of thing. Like you can just tell that he just loves what he's doing so much. And I feel like you get that back from the movie. And of course, like I love a good zombie flick. It's a fun, like, I think I've seen the term thrown around, like a zom rom-com, like, which is fun to say. That's the only time I'll ever say that. But but yeah, it's just it's the kind of movie I can just put on no matter what my mood is, no matter how many times. It's always enjoyable, always makes me laugh. There's always a part in it that like makes me like tear up a little bit. And it's just like these are the people that I would be with in a zombie apocalypse. So I'm kind of seeing myself reflected in it, which I also do not like saying, but I understand it. And it's very comforting to me. It's my go-to movie.
That is one of the best like reasonings we've gotten, which I'm not saying past guests have done a bad job, but you really put it in there. You definitely, you described it. I would assume that this is probably in like maybe your top 20 movies of all time, if not.
It's just definitely like my top one. This is anytime anybody has ever asked me what's my favorite movie, it's always Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, it has been since I've seen it. So when I was little, it was The Labyrinth.
Oh God, all Labyrinth. Right. We did an episode on Labyrinth. I'm not a fan, but
okay.
I was a kid when Labyrinth came out and didn't care for it then, and we watched it again maybe, I don't know, time is fluid at this point. Maybe last year? Was it last year? Yeah. And as an adult, it just still doesn't really, although I love The Dark Crystal. I love Jim Henson. Just Labyrinth. And Labyrinth is like, I kind of get it if you kind of like Lloyd or if you have a crush on David Bowie, his penis stars in this movie. It's essentially just there the whole time.
David Bowie was my first crush because of that movie.
Oh, really?
And because of the bulge.
Okay.
I as a 5-year-old saw it and was like, that's what I want. And so I was hooked until 2004.
Okay. So we'll go over a little bit of the numbers of the movie and the cast in a second, and then we'll kind of dig into it. So Shaun of the Dead was directed by, as you mentioned, Edgar Wright, who wrote and directed Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, written by Edgar Wright, again, who wrote those The World's End as well, which he also directed, Hot Fuzz as well, Ant-Man, which he was supposed to have made, and then it all fell apart, but his screenplay, or at least a large part of his writing, was intact in that. And Simon Pegg, who is the star of the film. Simon Pegg has written things like Run, Fat Boy, Run, which I've never seen, but Hot Fuzz again, and Star Trek Beyond. He plays Scotty in the Kelvin universe, J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. These two guys got their start together on a very funny show that lasted 2, I think, seasons on the BBC called Spaced. Lloyd, have you ever seen Spaced?
I have never seen it. I've been reading all about it. I will
let you borrow my DVD the next time we see each other at BoomTube. I will bring it and let you borrow it. It's a very funny sitcom that was maybe 3 or 4 years before this. If you pay attention, you get a whole bunch of people that were in that end up.
Everybody in this movie is from there.
Yeah.
I even read that this movie is almost like a film version of an episode of Spaced.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He starts hallucinating playing Resident Evil 2. And there's, it's a portion of an episode, but I think that's where the idea for this germinated. This was released in the UK on April 9th, 2004, and in the US on September 24th of 2004, filmed between May and June. It was, I think, 9 weeks of 2003. This was made for, and I read this as pounds, so I'm thinking 4 million pounds. It's a British production. It made 13.5 million in the US upon release, and then 30 million worldwide. So obviously this thing was a hit. And well, just to get this out there was a proposed kind of joke, kind of not sequel that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg had discussed, and it has a great title. Do you know what the title was, Laura?
I remember hearing it. I was watching the commentary on it. No, I can't recall it right now.
So the idea was if they continued to do Shaun movies, it would be it wouldn't be zombies, it would be a different genre. And the next one they were thinking about doing vampires, and it was going to be called From Dusk Till Shaun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And they did not do that.
That would have been good too.
That would have been very good. Yeah. That would have been very good. And it's very clever wordplay. All right, Lloyd, do you want to go through the cast who was in this thing, and we'll talk about that a bit?
Yep. So in the main role as Shaun, you've got Simon Pegg, basically ineffectual slob in a dead-end job who becomes pretty much the hero of the story. Yeah, now, he's also hit the holy grail of nerddom. Yeah. In that he's been in Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars.
Yep. He's got some nerd cred, and he's a nerd, so he's a geek. Yeah. Big geek culture guy. So he's obviously hit, like, you know, you get popular for something like this, and then you're kind of not awarded, but afforded the opportunity to be in a Star Wars movie, to be in a Star Trek movie, and to be a big part of a Star Trek movie. He had I think he was the bad guy in the Christopher Eccleston season of Doctor Who. He was one of the bad guys in it. So, you know, it's amazing what this guy's done.
Moving on, you have Nick Frost as his loser friend, Ed, also from Hot Fuzz and The World's End. And one of my lesser known shows on AMC, Into the Badlands. He played a guy named Baji.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's a good show. Then you have Kate Ashfield as Liz, Shaun's girlfriend. Now, I don't know her from any of these movies, but she was in Byzantium, that vampire movie.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Nymphomaniac. That was with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh.
A bunch of other
Lars
people.
von Trier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw that one.
Is that the one that has, like, is it unsimulated real sex in it? Or I've
heard rumors, but
I've heard that about that movie also.
Yeah, that's not something I'm just going to throw in with the wife. Hey, do you want to watch Shia LaBeouf get down and fuck? I don't know if I want to see that right now. Let's just watch Transformers: Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, let's do that.
Can I say something real quick about Kate Ashfield that I don't know if it just never hit me before? Like, I've seen this movie, you know, several times. She's hot. She's hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a good-looking woman, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if it just never, like, I just never paid attention to her hotness before, but, like, her hotness hit me this time. Right. So, good for her.
And I won't mention them all, but all these folks here are in plenty of movies, you know, British movies and stuff like that, TV shows. All right, so then you have Lucy Davis as Diane, the friend, basically. Now, she... Originally, I know her from The Office, the BBC version of The Office. She played the Pam character. I think her name was Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was in that Sabrina show on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
She was one of the witches in there.
She was Sabrina's aunt.
Aunts or something. Yeah. And then she was Etta Candy in Wonder Woman.
Still haven't seen that. I still have not watched Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 2 is coming out, and I still haven't seen it.
I enjoyed the Wonder Woman movie. I won't get into it too much because that's a whole nother thing. But out of all of the DC movies, that's the one that I enjoyed the most.
I would agree. That's definitely one of the better DCs.
Most of them that much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I am looking forward to the second one.
It'll come out in like 3 years.
Yeah. I'm looking forward as into like, I'll go see it when it comes out.
Yeah. Next year. Then you got Dylan Moran as David. That'd be Lucy's boyfriend. Now, he's an Irish comedian, writer, actor, filmmaker, and artist. He's got a lot of awards for different things.
Such a douche canoe in this movie, too.
Douche, yeah. And then you got 2 elder actors. So Penelope Wilton as Barbara, Shaun's mother. She's a very accomplished English actress. And her husband, Shaun's stepfather, is it Bill Nighy?
Nighy.
Yeah.
As Philip. Barbara's husband, like I just said. He was Billy Mack in Love, Actually. I guess a pretty popular role for him. I've seen parts of that movie once. It's just not
It's
for
an
me.
awful movie, but
Yeah.
it's a weird guilty pleasure, and I really love watching it
A
around
lot of
Christmas.
people love that.
There's very few redeeming factors about that movie, but I watch it every year around Christmas.
Is that the Rick Grimes with
Andrew
like,
Lincoln is in it.
cards,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
weird, like, he should, no,
Yeah.
it's not good. I'm
Never saw it.
acknowledging it's terrible, but I still watch it anyway.
Bill Nighy, I know you don't like the movies, Lloyd, but he played Davy Jones,
Davy Jones.
in Pirates of the Caribbean. He has got so everybody like does like a Christopher Walken impression or a Jeff Goldblum impression. I'm surprised more people don't do Bill Nighy impressions because this guy's got like such an amazing cadence, and the way he talks is so like it's Bill Nighy. You know what I mean? You know it's him. For Nerd Cred, if you are a Doctor Who fan, he guested on one of the best episodes of the Matt Smith era. The one featuring Vincent Van Gogh. If you've ever seen it, it will literally make you cry. Like, well, at least me, because I cry at everything. You'll cry your ass off. Laura, have you ever seen that or no?
That is actually the only clip of Doctor Who I've ever seen. I've never seen any of the no episodes. I don't really know much about them. Like, I know who the doctors are, like, and I recognize that, and I recognize that people love this show, and I've been told many times that I would like this. But that Vincent Van Gogh clip is the only one that I've ever seen, and that has also made me cry.
It's
but I also
brutal.
cry very easily, so.
Oh, you're an easy crier?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, me too. Like
very
everything.
Easy to make me cry. Very easy.
Yeah. I don't know. I realized I only had 2 beers left tonight. Cried. I forgot to go to the package store today. Cried. It's very easy.
You know that commercial where the little girl grows up and then the father gives her away at the wedding? Cried.
Yeah. Well, you got kids. I don't like stuff like, I don't know. My crying is weird. Like, it's truly weird. I don't know I should go see a therapist. There are things that like should make me cry that don't. And then like the absolute weirdest like bit of a TV show or something. And I'm like leveled. It's odd.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was also that guy, Victor, in the Underworld films.
Yes. Yeah. He was the,
and I never made that connection until I saw this movie again. I'm like, oh, that's that guy.
Yep.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, there's a few more characters, but those are the big ones.
You get Martin Freeman in one scene, and the significance of that is that in that scene, as they're all passing each other, they're all connected from something in the past. So when Simon Pegg and what was her name, Daisy on Space,
Jessica Hines.
Jessica Hines, she's the woman that keeps running into Shaun, and she has the group. They were on Space together, and then Martin Freeman and Lucy Davis were the Jim and Pam, or the Dawn, and I can't remember his name. And what was it?
No, Tim was
Dwight.
Simon Pegg's in Space.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot Martin Freeman's name in The Office.
They all had something going on there. So, all right.
And even Dylan Moran and the woman he passes by, they were in Black Books together.
I read that, but I had no clue what it was. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I've actually never seen Black Books. It's another show I've been told many times to watch. And then the mother, Julia Deakins, she was also on Space.
Oh, okay. Was she the landlady?
Yeah, she's the landlady, Marsha.
Oh, okay. Marsha. Yeah. All right. So as this film starts, we have, as Lloyd said, I think it's a little deeper, but it's true. We have this 29-year-old guy, Shaun, who is just living in
directionless mundane life.
Arrested development of some sort. He's got a longtime girlfriend who is getting fed up with his shit, and he doesn't see it. He wants to spend every single night hanging out with his homeboy Ed, who is a leech, and he's the thing is they're good friends. Ed is a good friend despite being a bad friend at the same time. Like they truly love each other, and they will obviously do anything for each other, but they also kind of fuck each other over a lot.
Yeah, they're not really helping each other out with anything.
Yeah.
Like they're there for each other, but they're not like they're staying in the same spot.
They're not moving each other forward in any way.
Yeah, there's no forward movement with these characters, with Shaun and Ed and Shaun's girlfriend.
Not before.
No, Shaun. Well, even the way this movie ends, man. Like, I got to admit, I've seen this movie probably 4 or 5 times, and I really enjoy it. And it wasn't until the last time that I watched this at were you there for when Larry showed it, Lloyd?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were there that night.
it wasn't until that last time I saw it, and we'll get to this, that I realized how circular this whole movie is. And it's
the very last scene.
Yeah, the very last scene, again, it's obvious. It's not like, oh, this is a revelation, but I guess I just never sat there and went, well, geez, this guy really didn't improve anything in the long run. He had a little bit of growth, and he showed some growth, but like, look what's happening here. Essentially, we suddenly get sent into a world where the dead start coming back. Okay. And we get some great scenes right off the beginning where it's kind of showing you the mundaneness of everyday life.
Right. Everybody's already a zombie.
Yeah. It's like a large part of this is that like these people aren't changing too much. They're just probably not going to eat anymore, well, except for brains.
They're going to eat different things.
Yeah. They're going to eat different things, being people. And Shaun is not respected at his job. This one takes me back every time I see it. So Lloyd, you might know this in terms of from seeing the guy. The kid in the beginning at Shaun's job, the one that's giving him shit and says, you've got red on you. Do you know who that is?
I recognize him, but I couldn't place him.
Okay, so
if you could tell me,
it's an actor named Rafe Spall, who has been in other things. Here's where you will recognize him from, that you might not recognize him there because he's chubbier and younger. He was the lead in The Ritual, the Netflix movie.
Oh, okay.
And he was also another movie we just actually recently talked about. He was the biologist in Prometheus, who the snake goes into his suit.
Oh, okay. He was that guy?
He was that guy. But because he was like 10 years younger and probably 50 pounds heavier, you don't recognize him. I never realized it until the last time I saw this movie and someone pointed that out. And once you see it, you could just see the same person under that.
Yeah, it just clicks.
Yeah, it's like he took off a suit. There's actually a really good line from Edgar Wright in the commentary from Hot Fuzz, where he describes Rafe Spall's transition between Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, that he went from a potato to a chip.
Yeah.
Which I think like really fits.
Because he's. I think this is where Laura might get mad. Here is the crime of all crimes. Lloyd has never seen Hot Fuzz.
What?
I've seen bits. I've never seen it all the way through.
Oh, it's great.
So we got to talk him into that.
It's a mission to do that, to watch that.
No, you definitely have to watch Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is thoroughly enjoyable. Yeah.
Great. We kind of have the mundaneness of this life and these characters going about. And how would you describe, Laura, Shaun's relationship with his mother?
He kind of he still sees her as if he's a child. He's not really taking any initiative in their relationship. Obviously, like Bill Nye, he has to come remind him to come visit her every 2 times a month or every 2 months, bi-monthly or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But, but he just kind of, he doesn't really let her into his life. He doesn't introduce her to Liz, who he's been with for 5 years, which is weird. It's not like she lives far away. She lives close to him.
They're all in the same neighborhood, basically.
Yeah, he really has compartmentalized his life, and that's really stunting his development as a person. Like, he's not, she still talks to him like a child, and he still acts like a child.
Yeah, she feeds into it.
Yeah, like, I think, but I love that she calls him Pickle, which is something that makes me giggle every time, and I wish somebody would call me Pickle.
we can call you Pickle here. Actually, that was Edgar Wright's real life coming into the movie, is his mother called him Pickle, and apparently would call him Pickle in front of his friends, and he was mortified by that. There's so much of this movie, more than I could write down, more than I could, express in this, hour and 20-minute podcast or whatever it's going to be. How much of this stuff has fed into this movie. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg were roommates for 5 years before this movie, and they said that their relationship was essentially Ed and Shaun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're best friends in real life.
Yeah, and the owners of the pub they go to, the Winchester, John and Bernie, were actually based on and named after the owners of the pub they used to go to when they were living together.
Yeah, the
like,
line
that's another nice like
when he opens up the mail slot or whatever it is in England, the I don't know, the teleport, I don't know what they call it. When he opens it up and he says, this is Ed and Shaun, we come here all the time, and then he says, we play the quiz. That was a real thing that they did at their actual their pub, which I think it was called the Shepherd, and he says that at one point. He says the Shepherd. This is a story of like kind of weird, strained relationships. Liz has these two roommates that are a couple, and it's made pretty clear from early on that what was the character's name? David. David is in love with Liz, and he has this kind of long-term girlfriend that he's kind of just settled on.
Just so he could be closer to Liz. All these people in this circle seem to be very comfortable in their lives, and some of them have different degrees of what they want out of it, but there's just a lot going on amongst each other. There's a lot of kind of resentment. Shaun seems to kind of deal with Ed's stuff, but then he has another roommate who he has to kind of answer to, and who's right in the long run. He's working a job. Peter Serafinowicz, who's awesome. Laura, quick quiz. In Star Wars, I'll make it a little easier. Who did Peter Serafinowicz voice?
Darth Maul.
Yes. Yes. All right. Only in Phantom Menace, when they spoiler alert, when they bring him back in Solo, it is not Peter Serafinowicz. They didn't have him come back, which he said he would have done it too.
Also, Peter Serafinowicz was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. Nova Corps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So here's this guy who's got two roommates that one is semi-serious, and then one, I don't even know if Ed's not even a roommate, right? He's just like a guy that came and never left.
He just never left.
Yeah, he just showed up.
Yeah.
On the couch, always playing video games, making a mess.
Yeah. He's like if you ever saw Half Baked, he's the Stephen Wright, the guy on the couch. Who just is on the couch all the time. That's who Ed is. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring this up. So we get the same scene shown twice in the movie early on. It's Shaun's walk to work. And the first time it is, Lloyd, go through the first time. What is it like?
Well, he wakes up, you only see him, from the feet up, and he's just kind of shambling around. He's making a zombie sound. He's yawning. He just looks like a zombie. He doesn't know what he's doing. Walks across the street. He runs into the same people, the same beggar, and goes and gets himself, I don't know, a Coke to drink, something like that, early in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's just the same routine every day, and everything's just the same. I mean, he could do it with his eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much does.
That's what he's doing. Yeah.
He almost never looks up. He kind of just is like looking down, and he runs into the soccer kid, or football as they call it. And he gets to work, and when he gets to work, he works in an electronics shop. Anybody here know I think Laura knows it already. Yeah. Laura, what is the zombie link in the electronic shop?
Well, the name of the shop is Forey Electric, of obviously a reference to Ken Forey of Dawn of the Dead fame.
Yes.
So, mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's that.
Laura's a walking encyclopedia.
She knows it, man.
Yeah. We don't have to feed her nothing. She's just doing it. All right. So Ken Forey, who plays one of the heroes in Dawn of the Dead, and has been he was in we watched something with him on one of the watch parties. Oh, From Beyond. He was the cop. He was the cop who wears like the football half shirt through half of the thing. Really weird. His second walk is decidedly different, because while he's at work, we start seeing like kind of news flashes that something has happened. There's something going on. And he sees on the bus at one point, he sees a woman fall over, and you're starting to get an inkling that something is happening in this little bit of London. His second walk, Lloyd, what is that like?
Basically the same thing, only with zombies, like real zombies that he's physically interacting with.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes into the shop that he goes to, and there's blood smeared everywhere. He doesn't notice it.
He slips on it.
He slips on it.
Blood, yeah.
Yeah, he's completely oblivious, because this is, we're learning this is Shaun. He's this far into, I don't know what the word is, is entropy the right word? He's this far withdrawn from like, he's passive to everything, you know?
Yeah.
He's just living from second to second just to get there. There's another little bit of trivia that I never noticed. And I can't remember if it was at the end of the movie or at the beginning, but there's a scene, I think it's at the end, where he's flipping the channels. I know Laura already knows this, but he's flipping the channels and there's different bits of dialogue on every channel.
Yeah.
It's all one line of dialogue, which I did not notice at all. But yeah, it's different channels, and everywhere one channel leaves off, it picks up. And I was like,
that's a really cool effect.
Yeah. For a first-time filmmaker, Edgar Wright, and this guy has gone on to make some pretty big stuff. Obviously, he's made the other two of what's called the Cornetto trilogy, and he made Baby Driver.
What did you say, Cornetto?
Cornetto. We'll get into that in 1 second. Cornetto trilogy. Right. He made Baby Driver. He made Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I just rewatched the other night with my wife. She's never seen it, and I had not seen it in a long time. And that movie is so fucking good and so like visually dynamic that it's just really impressive that this is this guy's first movie. And it goes to show why he's so successful in Hollywood, because he came right out of the gate with this. So Cornetto trilogy. All right. So I'll give you, Cornettos are essentially a British version, I guess, of like a Nutty Buddy. It is essentially a pre-wrapped ice cream cone. And I didn't read it for this, but I read it somewhere. It's one of the UK's, I guess, biggest snack foods, right? I guess there's multiple flavors and all that. When they're making this movie, it wasn't initially planned to become it was always, the three movies were going to be a loose trilogy, but the Cornetto thing kind of was born from what happened in Shaun of the Dead. In Shaun of the Dead, there's a scene where Ed eats a strawberry Cornetto to cure a hangover. That was Edgar Wright's actual hangover cure for when he would get drunk. Mm-hmm. When they set out to make Hot Fuzz and The World's End, they decided to add a Cornetto bit into each one, have a cone in each one. After they made Shaun of the Dead, and they picked, I guess they went with strawberry and said it represented blood and guts because it's a zombie movie. Apparently, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright were inundated with Cornettos from the company. The company gave them free ice cream for like 2 years or something. So they kind of said, we should add this in every time. And Cornetto, in the next two movies, Cornetto didn't give them shit, apparently. So, Laura, do you know the flavors for the next two movies?
I'm pretty sure for Hot Fuzz, the blue wrapper representing the police. That's just their normal
regular flavor.
Yeah. And then for The World's End, they have the mint chocolate chip, the green representing like the alien, like sci-fi aspect of that film.
Yep. So these movies together, Lloyd, are called loosely the Cornetto trilogy.
I was wondering what Cornetto means. I mean, I heard the term, but I didn't know what it represented.
A terrible fucking name for an ice cream snack. Like,
yeah, that's not good.
Like,
Cornetto.
Cornetto.
It, gross. It sounds like some kind of disease.
It does. It sounds like
Cornetto.
It sounds like an instrument that somebody would play at a fancy restaurant.
Okay.
Like,
I can see that.
Something. I don't know. That's my opinion.
I can kind of picture a cornetto being like a guitar that has like a wind instrument built into it somehow.
Oh, yeah. And Kenny G would play it.
Kenny G, yeah. And you're on a date, you're trying to eat your delicious veal piccata, and there's some guy standing behind
playing
you,
the cornetto,
like strumming a 4-string cornetto, blowing into it, ruining your night. The worst. And I also agree. It also sounds like something you go to the doctor and he'd be like, Lloyd, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's the cornetto, and it would be the cornetto. Just like you ever notice when somebody has gout, they call it the gout.
Yep.
It's what, like, nobody, like when someone gets like COVID, they don't say, oh, I got the COVID, or I got I got the sprain on my ankle. But when you get gout, immediately you've got the gout. I've known maybe 2 people in my life that have had gout, and they both like randomly have said, I got the gout. I'm like, what? You got the gout? Are you
got the gout?
Work it on gout? I don't understand what's happening.
That must be in the pamphlet they give you when you get diagnosed with the gout.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why everybody calls it that. It's kind of an inside thing.
The gout and you. First things first. When you talk, it's like there's certain things in life that people make you sign a waiver for, and I think that's one of them. Is if you get how are you going to say it now? If you get gout, they make you say you're going to have to say the gout. When I was in my 20s and like the 90s, is everybody I knew that had a pierced tongue would tell you it didn't hurt. And I always thought that when they pierced your tongue, they made you sign a thing saying, I will never admit that this hurt, even though you drove a fucking knitting needle through my tongue, which when I even bite it slightly hurts for fucking 4 hours. So
you're right.
Yeah.
I just bit mine yesterday.
How could anybody think that wouldn't hurt? I don't understand. Just biting your tongue a little bit is enough to make me cry for about 15 minutes.
But have you ever met somebody that pierced their tongue?
Oh yeah. They're all just full of themselves.
And they lie about it.
Cool.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. I can't talk at all, but it's good.
They're all swollen. Yeah, they're all like very little teeth and all tongue in there. It's just gross.
Yeah. Fucking liars. All right. So we also never find out in this movie, which is great because the best zombie movies do this. We don't find out what causes this, but we get different little bits that might be that they threw in there. Lloyd, do you remember any of them at all that they threw out there?
I don't.
All right. So one of them is they say that it was a probe coming back from Venus, I think, which is the actual what caused it in Night of the Living Dead. There's a news story in Night of the Living Dead talking about probes. At the very end, Laura, and this is a little shot at another British zombie, quotation marks, movie. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what the newscaster, who I think is voiced by Edgar Wright, says at the end?
The rage-infected monkeys, the Danny Boyle thing, yeah. This was not caused by rage-infected monkeys, which, if you've ever seen 28 Days Later, which on its own will tell you right off the bat, it's not a zombie movie. It's a zombie movie. But Danny Boyle is just, he made a zombie movie and he just doesn't want to admit it for some reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know, whatever. I still like the movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. Oh, yeah, fantastic. And this one also follows that rule to a bit because the only character that says zombie in it is told not to say that.
Mm-hmm. We're not using the Z word.
We're not using the Z word at all. All right. So we start to see, as Lloyd said, he's walking through, there's people walking around. They're not just disaffected, they're dead. And this suddenly becomes kind of a rescue movie and also a hideout movie. So Shaun and Ed come upon a course of action. What's the course of action they have to take, Laura? What are they trying to get to? And who do they have to get along the way?
Well, they have to go to Shaun's mother's house to kill Phil because she tells him on the phone that she is dead. I mean, I can read it off of my sweatshirt.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Okay. Take car, go to Mom's, kill Phil, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for this all to blow over.
Yeah. And this is the type of character that we're talking about with Shaun and Ed, where they're thinking this is it's almost like America in March, where it's like, this is going to be over. Like in June, we'll be going back to the movies again. And now we're in 2029 and we're still COVIDed out.
18 years have passed.
Yes. So this becomes, they have to go. They're under the impression that the stepfather, Phil, right? Is it Phil? Yeah, is dead, and they got to rescue Shaun's mom, and then they've got to go and pick up Liz, and incidentally, they end up picking up the roommate and dickhead boyfriend, and then they've got to get to the Winchester, and the Winchester being their goal is kind of a big part of Shaun's whole life problem because he essentially, right, Lloyd, right? This guy,
absolutely,
he just wants to spend every night there.
Yep, that's what they do. And he thinks he could solve his problems just by going there.
Yeah, and at his age, at 29, I guess maybe at 21 or 18, that might be a thing you do. But you've got a girlfriend, hot girlfriend, who has been with you for 5 years. She wants to, to be with you, and you're more concerned with hanging out with your friend. Not bueno. Not bueno.
And I love how that whole plan evolves too.
Yeah, like they
You know,
have to keep changing it just a little bit.
Yeah, little tweaks here and there, and then you keep seeing the sort of replay of it.
Yeah, like the way
Yeah,
he
it's
thinks
hilarious.
it's going in his head, like everybody's really happy, everything's working out, they're all smiling,
Yeah.
nobody dies.
And every time they do it, the dialogue, the narrative is a tiny bit shorter.
Yeah.
It's a few less words each time.
One of the things I like about this movie, though, that is kind of funny is that of everybody in the group, despite his, I guess, disaffected attitude, Shaun is actually kind of physical. There's the one scene where he's running to get to Liz's house and he's kind of doing a crisscross pattern and he's hitting all the zombies with the cricket bat.
Yeah.
He does some pretty, like, when it comes down to it, he's kind of a man of action, which you don't expect from this guy because, you know, he kind of comes across. Yeah, he's schlubby. That's the best word I couldn't think of. So they pick Liz up. They pick the mom up. They pick Phil up. Phil is the first one to go. Right. He died.
They don't kill Phil. Like
they don't have to.
Was.
Right. They don't kill Phil. They take the roommate's car, and Ed sees Phil's Jaguar in what I think is one of the funniest scenes in the movie.
That's great.
Is they don't show it, but he purposely drives the car into a telephone pole just so they could take the Jaguar.
Yeah.
They take the Jaguar, they're driving down the road, and you get a really great moment between Phil and Shaun because, you know, they make it clear that he treats Phil like a stepdad, like someone who was never there for him. And then there's a line that the mother says that she's been with him for 17 years.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
Yeah, because this really shows that Shaun is holding on to resentment. You know, Phil doesn't seem like a bad guy. He seems stoic and, you know, but obviously
all British men are kind of like that. Any British man of a certain age just is kind of like that. Like they don't really show emotion. They're very proper. Things are a certain way.
Yeah.
And that just seems like run of the mill for British men.
What's the line in the Pink Floyd song, Lloyd? Hanging on in quiet desperation
is the English way.
Is the English way. I'm not even kidding. I thought about that watching this movie with Phil because he seems like, you know, you're right. He's just very, you know, but he comes out before he dies. He's been bitten. Before he dies, he comes out and tells Shaun that I've always loved you and I've always wanted better for you. And they have this kind of like nice moment that's interrupted immediately by zombies. Phil dies, pops back to zombie life, and they've got to take off without him. They start running through some yards. They come across the other group of people where you get the other, as we talked about earlier, all the comedy pairings. And in this section, and I never noticed it watching this before, but in this section, Laura, who gets bitten?
Barbara. Wait,
Barbara.
Yeah, the mom. Yeah.
In the I'll call it a backyard. They'd call it a garden.
A garden,
but,
yeah. Which I love. Which I.
It's
like
better. It's totally better.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring about, what did you think of the line when they're devising the plan and they call Barbara and they say, oh, we're going to come there. Okay. We're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Actually, but in the commentary, Edgar Wright says that George Romero had called them to congratulate them and tell them like how much he liked the movie, and they're like, "Hey, did you like get the reference? Like the "We're coming to get you, Barbara." It went right over George Romero's head.
Oh my god!
He didn't catch it at all. But yeah, and then like he liked the movie so much he gave them a part in Land of the Dead.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
They are the chained up zombies in the beginning, or not zombies, whatever we're going to call them, the dead. So yeah, one thing I never noticed, which I liked about this scene, was you don't see Barbara get bitten. She gets assailed by a guy in his pajamas, and they get her away. But as that scene's breaking up, you see her shoving the handkerchief inside of her sleeve, which later in the movie you find out she's covering the wound. And I never noticed that. It's just in the background. She's putting it in there, so she knows what's going to be happening pretty soon.
Yeah, that's something that like I've come to like realize more like on more recent watchings. Like even just besides her actually like holding on to the wound, just like her face, like she is dreading something. Like when they're doing like I'm sure you're getting to this, but like she's acting this entire time and you don't even realize that she's showing you what happened
right,
without like saying anything. which
My
is really
wife
great.
loved that scene. I think what you're referring to is when they start walking like zombies,
Yeah.
and you see everybody doing their and then you see Barbara, and she's just straight on resting bitch face.
Yeah, she's like, I was miles away, dear.
Yeah.
So that they have to get to the Winchester, and they decide that the best way to do it is to emulate zombie moves. So they, as a group, start moaning and kind of shuffling through. They get through. The dickhead boyfriend throws a chair through the window to get inside. They get inside. Shaun runs away to kind of give them a distraction, because at one point, what happened that? Oh, was it him throwing the chair through the window that got everybody's attention, or something else happened, right?
Ed got a phone call from
Yes.
from Rafe Spall's character looking for weed.
Oh, is that Rafe Spall?
Yeah, that's Rafe Spall on the phone. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. I had never noticed. Again, that's what was cool about kind of one of the cool things about doing these episodes is that, I love movies and I pay attention, but like when we do these episodes, I try to pay attention even more. Mm-hmm. And I never noticed at the end of the movie when they're doing the documentary, the kind of commercial about like the 6 months after Z-Day, is that it's Rafe Spall's character pushing the carts in the. I never realized that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never caught that.
That's one of the reasons I love this movie so much. Like everything just comes around, everything is connected, and there's just like all these little things that he puts in that you don't necessarily catch on the first time watching, which is fine because you can watch this movie a bunch of times and still get enjoyment and new things out of it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And also earlier in the movie, so the first zombie, we didn't talk much about it, but the first zombie they encounter in their garden is Mary, the checkout girl. They show her earlier in the movie checking people out. So, and also that character, I read this the other day in 2000 AD, the famous British comic book that Judge Dredd comes from. They're Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, or Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright wrote a story called There's Something About Mary in one of the progs. They call them progs over there, not issues, of 2000 AD that tells Mary's story of how she becomes a zombie. So a little bit of like entertainment synergy going on there. It's pretty cool.
There you go.
So they get into the Winchester. We find out pretty quickly that Barbara has been bitten, and David, the douchebag, although he's kind of right. This is one of those tough moments, right?
He's right, but he's being an asshole.
Of course, he's right, but yeah,
he's being very callous about it. So Barbara has been bitten, and you get this moment between Shaun and Barbara where she's telling him that she loves him, and this is pretty rough. And Simon Pegg is getting very upset. Shaun's getting very upset. David is telling them they have to shoot her, and it causes a kind of moment between all these friends with a little bit of a standoff. Did any one of you? Now this is something I've always noticed. Do you catch the Reservoir Dogs reference in this scene?
Huh. I don't think so.
So I could be putting this out there, but I think this has got to be a tip to Quentin Tarantino. When Shaun gets up, he yells at David and says, "Don't point that gun at my mom." That's the last thing that nice guy Eddie says when they're all standing pointing the guns at each other. He says, "Don't point that gun at my dad." And then they all shoot each other.
Oh, wow. No,
I'm fairly certain.
I did not catch that at all.
On that. Yeah, that's great.
I'm fairly certain that's got to be a little reference to that.
Oh, yeah, that definitely has to be.
There's a great moment, and Lloyd and I, maybe 6 months ago, did a really a fun episode with Curtis Spieler, who is a local horror director, and we did an episode about our favorite scenes set to music, popular music. And I don't think did any of us bring this one up, because
didn't you bring it up?
No, maybe Curtis did.
I thought it was brought up. I don't know if it was on a list, but I think it was mentioned.
I don't know how it popped out of my head.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Don't Stop Me Now by Queen playing while they are simultaneously beating the zombie pub owner with pool or snooker. What's that a game they play in? There's another game, snooker. I think they play. Yeah. Well, no, they play. Yeah, it's another pool type game. So I don't know if that's what it was, but cues, basically pool cues. Mm-hmm. They're beating them in a circle and doing this all to Don't Stop Me Now, which I read also in 2004. It didn't so much happen here, and not to the extent. So in '92, when Bohemian Rhapsody came out in Wayne's World, it gave Queen, post Freddie Mercury's death, this huge kind of resurgence. And I guess Don't Stop Me Now got a huge resurgence.
Did it again?
Okay. Yeah, it didn't happen here, but it got really big there again. It might have charted. So that's very cool. But
yeah. No, I read that they choreographed that scene to that music and then begged Brian May that they could have the song.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
And he gave it to him apparently. So that's cool.
He actually, I think he wrote them a letter or called them or something, thanking them for using the music in the movie because he liked it so much.
That was such a great scene.
Yeah.
That is one of my all-time hype songs. When that song comes on, I feel like I could run through a fucking brick wall. I could be low energy. I could not be feeling great. There's a couple songs. You could ask my wife. One of them is Don't Stop Me Now. Forget about it. And the other one, and this might not go over as well, but Wake Me Up Before You Go by Wham. Oh my God. We've talked about it, our love of George Michael. Wake Me Up Before You Go. I could be on the worst fucking day of my life. And if I hear jitterbug, it's for 3.5 minutes. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm good. I'm very good. So, Master, what else is happening? Who do we lose in the next couple minutes here?
Oh shit, we lose everybody, but I think you're talking about David, right?
Yeah.
Because he's this is after Shaun does shoot his mother, and I think he's crawling along the side of the wall, and he comes across the door, the glass-filled door, and you can see all sorts of hands and zombie figures behind him, and you just know what's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, any movie watcher, any horror movie watcher knows what's coming next, and he gets pulled right through, gored like you wouldn't believe.
What?
Yeah, so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and let me ask, because does this remind you of a certain other character's demise in a zombie movie?
Sure. One in was it Day of the Dead?
Colonel Rhodes.
Yeah.
This is him getting ripped apart and his intestines getting pulled out.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I thought was, I don't know, pretty crazy about that scene is that even though he's kind of subtly admitted to being in love with Liz, as soon as he dies, his girlfriend immediately goes out after him.
Yep.
Laura, is that you? Or are you this guy just played me for 4 or 5 years?
Oh, no, fuck that. I'm not running after
way,
him.
that's
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's sad. Hey, look,
she gives the impression that she's always kind of known this. It's just an unsaid thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I like her as a character. I feel like I could be acquaintances with her. I wouldn't be friends with her. Very loose, say hi once a month. But she seems like a nice girl, but she fell for the wrong guy, unfortunately. And yeah. So, but no, I would not run after him. I would not run into the zombie, especially since he's definitely dead and there's no saving him.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he is. There's, yeah. This is,
they
he
rip
doesn't.
off his head. They rip off his legs from the inside. He has no stomach anymore.
No.
You literally see them eating his intestines. There's nothing to save, Diane. Stay inside.
And I know you know a lot about this movie. I don't know if it was written into, I read this, but apparently in canon, she survives this movie.
Yeah, I recall a while ago. I think it might be probably on some DVD extra or something, some storyboard or something of her in a tree.
Yes.
Holding David's leg or something like that.
Yeah.
So Diane never actually dies. We just assume she does.
Yeah.
I guess there's a DVD extra of, I think, what they call plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
People want to know, well, what happened to the girlfriend after she ran out? How did Shaun get Ed back to playing video games? So there's a few things that are, I guess, addressed somewhere. I've never seen it though.
I think that's on my version. I have all three of them in a box set, like the Cornetto trilogy on Blu-ray, and it's actually pretty comprehensive extra features. But I think there's a plot holes thing. I just haven't watched it yet, so I couldn't attest to that.
You're letting us down, Laura. You know everything. You know everything about this movie, and you haven't watched the one feature we want to discuss right now.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh my God. This is what you get for asking internet strangers onto your podcast. I do like one of the lines. I don't know again what it was from, but back to the Diane thing real quick, is that I think that in that whole bit where they explain that she survived up the tree, the last bit they said was that she remains in Christmas card contact with Shaun and Liz. Like, I like the idea of like, they don't want to deal with her anymore, but like they're still cordial to each other.
Yeah. It's a very British thing to do.
Yeah.
Very polite people.
So Diane goes outside, and now it's just the three of them. And then we get to the point where Ed gets attacked, and he doesn't get ripped apart, but he gets chomped on pretty good. Looked very painful. He gets bitten right on the trapezoid. Lloyd, what is that? Trapezius
muscle.
Trapezius maximus, I think. The deltus arsenal. I don't know. It's something like that. What is it? What does he say? What does he say in when he's doing curls in Anchorman? I'm working out the uvulus muscles. He got bit right in the uvulus majoris right up here. But Ed gets bitten, so as we know in a zombie movie, that's not good. Shaun, Liz, and Ed end up escaping. The zombies are getting in. Everything's getting in. They escape to the basement or the cellar, whatever they want to call it. And it seems like it's lights out. This feels like it's going to be the end. And we get some really, like, it's played for humor, but like, did you guys find like the final conversation between Liz and Shaun as like so dour because they're talking about how they're going to commit a murder?
Yeah, the last 10, 15 minutes of the whole movie is incredibly dark.
Yeah.
So much darker than what you were expecting, at that point.
Yeah, because like Laura said, it's a rom-com until all of a sudden his mom's dead, and now Ed's going to die, and now we're at the point where we're talking about like best way to perform a murder-suicide,
They speak about it so light. Like it's just something they're discussing about where they're going to get dinner or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh, like I'll do, like you do this, like I'll just muck it up myself if I do it. Like it's just...
He does.
Meanwhile, Ed's like, I just want him to eat me.
Yeah, or like when they're like talking about the relationship, he's like, actually, I would like to be shot.
Yeah.
That's my small British accent, but yeah, it's just a nice little touch. It just really like kind of brings a realism. I don't know. I don't feel like that's the right word. I feel like that's how I would describe how I would murder someone else and kill my significant other. Very matter-of-factly and practical about it, because you have to be practical right now.
In the background, I could see your boyfriend climbing out of a window right now. He's got the window. He's gone. It's okay. Pint Comics, ruining relationships since 2020. So yeah, we get down to the bottom, and Shaun, they don't realize it, but they're sitting on a dumbwaiter. Shaun realizes this, and they have to leave Ed behind. They get up to the street level, and just as they are about to get obliterated by zombies, what happens, Lloyd?
Well, the bus comes along, the military bus with his friend that keep running into each other, and the whole group of people, and they save him.
It's the exact opposite ending from The Mist.
Oh God, yeah.
This is like what the best case scenario that did not happen in The Mist is what happens here. If you've never seen The Mist, it's rough. The ending of The Mist is very rough. Everything's fine, and we shoot to 6 months later, and this is the part that I find super interesting because, Laura, what do you think happens with, so like we said, Shaun is in some kind of form of arrested development. He's not moving forward. And through the course of this movie, through this Z-Day, they call it disaster, which they kind of, through the course of the ending here, kind of explain to you that it was short-lived. The military took care of it. And now a lot of the zombies they're on TV. They're living normalish lives, like service personnel, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we see Shaun kind of grow up a lot in the arc of this movie. But then when we get to the end, and Liz, who has made it clear that like she's done with Shaun's bullshit, then we get to the last scene, and it's essentially like do you think she's now just settling and he's happy that that's where they're at? Is that what, I don't know. It was, like I said, it was really the first time that it hit me like harder the last time I saw this, that it's almost like there was almost no growth here. Is that how you see it?
No, not really. I kind of see it as just because he still has this aspect of his life, it's not the sole moving force of his life anymore. It's not like his relationship with Ed and just like sitting around getting drunk, playing video games with Ed isn't the biggest part of his life.
Okay.
But it's still part of it, which is something I think that a lot of people forget, that like, yeah, you can still have these things in your life that you enjoy doing and grow up and be productive and like, you know, move on and be an adult. Like, you don't have to get rid of all of these things that you enjoyed when you were younger. They just can't be the focus of your life. And I think that just kind of shows that Shaun has like pivoted his focus towards like, hopefully, like, I don't really know. We don't get really any indication of what his job is now. We don't know if he's still working at the electronics store, but he's obviously living in a cleaner space, living with Liz. And they're doing things that they both want to do together. And he still has this relationship with now a zombie, his friend Ed, and they still get to do things they enjoy together. And he's kind of found a good balance in his life instead of letting one thing just like weigh him down pretty much.
Yeah,
So.
that's right.
Yeah.
If they're using zombies, right? I mean, Ed never had a job.
No,
All he was ever good at was playing video games anyway. So that's all he could do as a zombie.
Yeah, Ed kind of made out like
put him in his element, and
yeah,
then,
he's good. He's what he wants to do.
yeah.
If you haven't seen the film, Ed is a zombie now, and he lives in the garden in a shed. And Shaun will go out there, as he says, he's going to go out for a few minutes and play some PlayStation 2 with him. I know this is a weird question, but like, would either of you, Lloyd, I'll start with you. Would either of you, let's pick a friend, right? Let's say like the husband, wife, or would you want to have a zombified version of someone you cared about still in your life? Or now I get it, because again, Shaun, it kind of goes to show their weird symbiotic relationship and again, Ed probably isn't that much different as a zombie, but like, if you could have someone as a zombie in your life, would you want that?
All right, so here's what would happen. Let's say this was you and me.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I'm Shaun and you're Ed and you're down there. And I'm like, you know what? The only thing that I remember he was really happy doing was podcasting. So I would take you and I would set you up in your little studio.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'd go out there and podcast with you.
Okay.
So,
it would be interesting. It would be a lot
I
of
would
like,
listen to that. Yeah.
we have one listener for, we'll call it Pint of Comics, the Undead years. It'll be the sequel to this show. And it will be you discussing comics and movies and TV and me going like that a lot. Laura, would you want, like, do you have a friend, think of any friend, a good friend of yours, that if they were gone, you would feel comforted having their rotting corpse like chilling out?
No, as cool as that would be, as much as I would like that for the aesthetic value and like the science part of that, like being able to like poke their body and see what falls off.
Yeah.
I think that would be too sad for me, because I don't really have a friend that's like kind of a lump. All of my friends are like my friends because I love like their minds and like the wonderful things they make. And that sounds a little corny, but
no, it's
like the reason they're my friends would be gone, and I don't know, their dead body still moving and moaning around would just kind of be, it would probably smell too.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of bad smells, like, so no, I'd get rid of them.
All right. That's a perfectly good answer. I will choose the same answer. I don't think I'd want that, but if Manster was a zombie and I was able to keep him around, I would I would probably put like a giant set of headphones on and play Depeche Mode records for him. Peter Gabriel. Let's see. I don't know who else. I'm trying to think. David Bowie, obviously.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails, big 9 Inch Nails guy. I would take care of you on the music front. We would go to the archive every once in a while,
excellent.
and I'd watch you spend like
a movie I never heard of.
Spend $200 on some, I don't know, some weird movie you'd never heard of before. All right. So we talked about Shaun of the Dead. Lloyd, do you have the box office numbers? Let's talk about what came out at the same time as this film.
Sure do. All right. So the weekend this came out, it opened at 3.3 million.
Respectable. Almost took its whole budget back right there.
Yeah. So that weekend alone, it was number 8 of that week. Number 7, I don't know these. Wimbledon.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6 was Cellular. Number 5 was
Sevens.
First Daughter.
No.
Number 4, you'll know, Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Ugh, I watched the first one of those and that sucked. I don't know how that series went on for like 9 movies. I don't get it. It was terrible.
Yeah. Number 3 was Mr. 3000.
Oh, that's that was
Bernie Mac, right?
Bernie Mac. Yeah, it's a baseball movie.
Baseball. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Number 2, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
I saw that once. That was visually very interesting, but it was Jude Law. It was all
like a
CGI
kind of thing, right?
Punk, yeah,
CGI,
CGI, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and the number 1 movie that weekend was The Forgotten, which has been forgotten. I
Yeah.
think.
Yes, I have completely forgotten that movie.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I forgot all about it. So I
right,
think that's a Julianne Moore movie, I think. Like Alien Abduction, something along those lines.
Could be.
Never saw it.
That sounds right.
But the title is fitting because I don't remember it.
Completely forgettable.
So for the year 2004, Shaun of the Dead was number 136 at 13.5 million.
Indy. It's right.
Yeah. Number 10, National Treasure.
Oh, Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love Nicolas Cage and National Treasure. Well, Nicolas Cage and everything. And I do love National Treasure.
All right. All right.
So do you like Vampire's Kiss?
Of course.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Number 9, The Polar Express.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. Number 8, Shark Tale, which I have to say I saw in the movie theater that year with my kids. Number 7, The Bourne Supremacy.
Good one.
Yeah. Number 6, The Day After Tomorrow.
Terrible. That's Jake Gyllenhaal. The fucking ecosystem goes crazy, and
where the helicopter freezes.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
No, don't.
Number 5, a great movie, The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Number 4, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I never made it past, I don't think, the second movie.
Actually, fun little fact, Rafe Spall, who we've just been talking about, his father is Timothy Spall, who plays Wormtail in the Harry Potter movies. Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 3, The Passion of the Christ.
I'm not a religious dude. I saw that in the theaters. It is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
It's so brutal. That was a movie experience I'll never forget. I went with a friend or a couple friends. We got to the theater. We went to the Berlin cinemas. And as we were walking in, I'll never forget, there was a girl, probably, I don't know, like say 22, 23, sitting on the curb with a guy who I'm assuming was her father. Her head in his shoulder, not crying, like fucking nervous breakdown, like total nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
We get inside and there are people crying, like leaving. So we go and we see it and killed me. Like it's so violent and so sad and so brutal. And then like, so this is 2004. So like, let's say like end of 2004, it came out in DVD. I bought it because I told Lindsay, I said, I think it's maybe like, even though we're not religious, maybe it's important to watch this movie because it's historical. Let's watch this movie. I've never watched it. The DVD remains in my collection. I don't picture ever watching it again. It is so fucking brutal. It's literally watching a guy getting tortured and beat up for like 2.5 hours. And then, it doesn't end well either.
Yeah. Is there like, I've never seen it. Is there really much of a story to it, or does just like I know like there's obviously a story based off of Bible stuff, but is it just pretty much torture porn the entire film?
No, there is a story. There's the story of his relationships, and they kind of flash back to his life before. But yeah, it is torture porn. I think there's a reason behind it. It's not like watching Hostel or something, but like literally, I was watching this movie, and I remember at one point, just like, and people in the theater, it was full, were like crying and sobbing. And I remember at one point with like an hour left, just like saying to my friend, like, I just want to like tell these Roman soldiers, like, leave this guy alone. Like, you just get so tired of it. Lloyd, have you ever seen it?
I couldn't sit through that. No.
Yeah. Brutal. Absolutely
Especially
brutal.
with my upbringing.
Yeah. I'll let you borrow it. And if you want to like make it disappear, I'm fine with it.
All right. Number 2, The Passion of the Christ, coming back to raise hell. All right. No, really. Spider-Man 2.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still love
And number
Spider-Man
1, Shrek 2.
Shrek 2. Oh, wow. You know, it's funny that you say that, though, because Passion of the Christ does end with the resurrection. So it could have had an immediate sequel. It literally, yeah, it literally ends with him waking up in the cave. He sits up and the movie ends. So they could have done it. All right. So, Laura, here's the point where I think you already played your cards on this, but that's cool. Here's the point where we talk about what we want to rate this movie. The way we rate movies is on a scale of 0 to 5. Quarter and half scale is available. So you can go with anything between there. I'll go first on this one. I'll say this right off the bat. This is actually my least favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I do love this movie, but I think Hot Fuzz is number 1. Mm-hmm. And I really love The World's End, which I think a lot of people sleep on.
Yeah, it's actually like really refreshing to hear you say that, because a lot of like, even for myself, I'm not saying I don't like The World's End. I do like it, but out of the 3, it's my lesser favorite. Like, I definitely watched the other 2 more, but it's really nice to hear somebody like put that above Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, slightly. It's slight because Shaun of the Dead's great. Mm-hmm. I will give Shaun of the Dead 4. This gets 4 stars, 4 solid stars. It's, it's got a lot going for it. It's it introduced us to a lot of awesome people: Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Edgar Wright. It is funny as hell. It's not a scary horror movie, but there's some good gore and stuff in it. It's well written. As we've talked about for the last hour plus, there's so much in there. We didn't even touch on everything that you have to see multiple times to get. Right. It's just super clever. So 4 for me. Lloyd, what do you give it?
Yeah, just like you said, it's well written, very smart. There's a laugh, a good laugh, not just a cheesy, cheap, stupid laugh, but a good laugh like every couple of minutes of this movie. I give it a 4 bloody cricket bats.
All right. 2 4s. I think we know maybe where Laura's going with this. She said it's her favorite movie of all time. So let's see what kind of a rater she is, a judge. Because if she says like 3, then we know that she's been like, there's nothing that pleases her. What would you give this?
I feel like giving it a 5 would be too easy, because that just really, I'm going to do 4.75 because you say I can use quarter points.
Yep.
Okay, so 4.75. That means that there is more room in my future for other great things to come. But yeah, like I don't really have any complaints about this movie. Obviously, it has entertained me many, many times over the past 16 years. Right? I'm doing math correctly?
Yep.
Yeah.
16. Okay. I just feel like giving anything a perfect score is hard to do. But 4.75, I'm going to.
Yeah, I've had that trouble myself.
Yeah, it feels like, I don't know. It would feel wrong to give anything a perfect score.
There are some things that deserve it. Our very first episode that we did this format on was Lloyd's episode, and we did The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm not kidding. This is like 2 years ago, and I gave it a 4, and it haunts me because that's a 5. That's a 5.
Yeah.
Because when we do these shows, I prepare, I got my notes, I know like what I want to talk about, but I don't think about the rating generally until we get to that point of the show. And I think a few times I've kind of like maybe not thought about it enough, and The Thing still haunts me. I want to go on record right now, and I want to amend our show from the end of like probably 2018 and say the thing is 5. What the fuck was I thinking? I feel so
I think
ridiculous.
I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, no, it's a 5. It's absolutely a 5. And
so what you have to do, you have to go get the recording and
I'll find the original recording and just update it. So if anybody
this is
listens
John
to it,
from the future.
yeah,
You can
I
do
was
the
an
thing
idiot. This is a
redux.
5.
yeah. All right. Well, this has been awesome, Laura. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
I hope you had a good time.
Oh, yeah, this was great. Mhm.
Awesome. And I know you said you listen to a bunch of podcasts, and we are a podcast. We love podcasts. Do you want to throw a couple names of podcasts out there that you enjoy? Maybe people will hook on to new things.
Okay, I guess most of them are bigger name things that probably don't need plugs from me. But one of my favorite ones, Last Podcast on the Left, they do a lot of true crime, serial killer, murder, crime stories, which is really great. There's another one, Reply All. If you're into like internet technology, like little niche like pockets of that kind of stuff, they cover that in a really very nicely researched way. I also listen to Dateline episodes as podcasts all the time.
All right.
Because I love Dateline. And now I'm blanking out on any other podcasts I listen to.
All right, that's cool. And then one other question I wanted to ask you. So we talked about the watch parties so far, and there have been, I don't know, probably let's say 25 of these, or maybe 20 of these movies. What has there been any that you've cut out of the party on because you couldn't deal with it? Or like, what is the absolute maybe depth of weirdness we've gotten into? Like what movie is you're like, holy shit, I can't believe this was made. Because the one we watched last week, Blood Diner, I'm still trying to process that fucking.
I think that's the craziest one yet.
Through my mind, I think that one I've missed a handful of them. Like I know you guys kind of run through them. So I didn't see Frankenhooker.
Oh, that was a good one.
I like that.
I think my internet cut out in the middle of From Beyond, but I have seen it. I just didn't finish that one there. There was a couple more. Yeah. There's a couple. Yeah. But Blood Diner was definitely the one that has, just because every 2 minutes, something completely unexplainable was happening in the background.
Yeah.
But also the dummy that just randomly appeared as a character.
What the fuck was that all about?
Out of the blue.
I love that. I thought that was such a great choice.
No, I know. I was laughing really hard at that, and it didn't bother me that much. Once I had accepted that, okay, this is a character in the movie, I moved on.
Yeah.
But
see, there are other people that are so offended by stuff like that.
My wife was sitting on the couch as I watch it on my phone, sitting on the couch, and I got my headphones on, and she. When I got done, I said, that movie was fucking crazy. She said, you actually laughed out loud. I guess normally, even though it's funny, I don't laugh out loud a lot. I just internalize it. She's like, you laughed out loud 4 or 5 times. There was one, I don't remember what the character was, but it might have been the cop, or he did a punch, he swung and punched someone in the gut. It might have been the captain of the cops punching the female cop, but he wound up and punched her. I laughed so fucking hard out loud. And then afterwards, Larry texted me and was like, had you ever seen that before? And I'm like, dude, no. And then you dig further into it, and it gets a little sad. They were mentioning it on the stream. One of the guys who played the brother with the dark hair, 2 years after this movie was made, the producer of this movie apparently was drunk driving, and he died in a crash, and the producer left the scene of the crime. So there's a whole nasty undertone to after this movie with these people. But one of the little kids in the beginning who played the brothers was a girl actress made up to play a boy. There's so much weird shit going on. All right.
That was a weird one. Probably the weirdest that I can think of at the moment. But yeah.
Hey, Lloyd, do you want to tell everybody where they can find us?
Sure. Check out our website, pintofcomics.com, where you can find lots of great articles and reviews. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, all those podcatchers that are so awesome and great and live there in your little phone. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for podcasts and special reviews. Social medias, Facebook and Twitter at Pint Comics. On Instagram, at Pint_O_comics, and listen to Sir John talk to lots of people on the radio. WESU Middletown 88.1 FM on Sunday nights from 6:30 to 7:30. And you can stream the show on WESUFM.org and on a TuneIn radio app.
That's it. Do your thing.
That's it. See ya.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.